friends, let's talk about toxic boyfriends, toxic girlfriends. When you're in these situations, things get a little foggy. Let me hit you with a few signs real quick. The person that you're with, they lie a lot. You kind of have trust issues because of them, and they get overly upset over things. You're in a constant state of stress, and you always feel like you're walking on eggshells. Here's one that I've seen a lot of times by lady friends. They're dating some dude, and that dude's always telling them, if you break up with me, you're never gonna find anybody better than me.
This is Bros and Bros, where we're just bros hanging out with bros, reacting to videos, and today we're going to watch a video on toxic relationships, and today my bro is my youngest brother, Rayo. So let's get this video rolling.
Here's one that I've seen with a few of my guy friends who are dating toxic girls. The girl will say, you either pick me or your family. I wish a girl would tell me to pick my family or her. Another tell is if you start making excuses to justify their toxic behavior, because what happens is you start dating somebody toxic and then you start avoiding your friends and family so you don't have to explain their toxic behavior to your friends and family when you see them. Let me tell you all a quick little story. Proceeds to tell a 15-minute story. One day I'm on Xbox and I'm replying to messages and I open one and I see this girl on here, and this girl was fine. Hey, just discovered you today. You're handsome AF. Let's be friends. First thing that runs through my head, you a catfish. Because ain't no way you this fine trying to talk to little old me. The gaming community is 90% dudes, so, you know. So whenever I see a pretty girl as your, default pick on Xbox, I just assume you're a 60-year-old dude named Bob, okay? That's just, there are a lot of trolls, okay? And don't get it twisted. I make friends with dudes and females. I'm not one of those people on here only responding to females. I have a quick question for you. How did we meet?
Through Xbox.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's all. I won't take up any more of your time. Holler. You see? I don't discriminate. So let's just call this girl Ann. And before y'all go look at my Instagram, I have some friends that I follow named Ann. This is not them, all right? So I get this DM on Xbox from Ann. We start DMing back and forward. We exchange phone numbers. We start texting back and forward. Some of y'all might remember a few videos ago, I said I had this friend who drove an hour out of town, bought me a game, drove an hour back, sent me the game. This is that girl. I'm finally giving y'all that story. Only problem is we don't play any of the same games. She likes these games. I don't like none of those. I like these games. She don't like none of these. The other thing that was really cool about it.
Hey Rayo, have you been in a toxic relationship?
Man, I've been in at least one. Wait,
What?
wait, a serious relationship?
It doesn't matter as long as it's toxic.
Okay, then I have at least one to talk about. Let's see. It was my very first relationship, and I was, how old was I? I got into it at 16 or 17, and I think I was in it till I was, how old was I, 20? 21? No, 19? I was still living with you at the time.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember, but it was about 5 years long, if I remember correctly. But the big problem with that one was we had gotten together, and then within a week I had been cheated on. Like I think to the day it was exactly 1 week, and then it was followed immediately with like, oh my god, I cheated, and then you should just leave me. I'm no good for anybody. And then I was just like, all right, well, that's it. And then that was it. That was my first serious relationship. Well, I'm not done with the story, but I was like, okay, I guess that's my first relationship, my week-long relationship. Then it turned into like within an hour or two of that message, she said, oh my god, can you take me back? And I was just like, you know what, I remember I was chopping weeds, and I was surprised to even get a message back that fast. But and she was like, oh yeah, can you please take me back? I'll do better. And I was just like, you know what, at the time I was a young teenage boy who had no reference for self-esteem, or self-esteem, self-respect, all that. And I was like, you know what, why not? And then some foreshadowing, this would continue for a long while. I think within that 5-year span, I probably couldn't count on my fingers and my toes how many times I got cheated on by the same girl with the same guy, I think. No, No, there were several guys. I'm forgetting the particulars, but every time I was in the back of my mind, I was just like, you know what, I ought to leave this girl right here. And then at the time, I didn't want to, just because I felt like it would make an uncomfortable conversation, and I really just wanted to avoid it. I've since grown past that, but at the time, I just didn't want to do all that. It didn't seem worth the effort. And for that, I ended up staying in a 5-year-long relationship where I was miserable for about 80% of it. Now, this same girl, I will admit that she, at the time, was not the best person, and I've talked with her cordially since then, and we kept a correspondence, like, very loosely, and she's a pretty pleasant person now. I think as a person, she's grown. At the time, I'm not judging who she is now. I'm judging who she was at the time of the story. But she had made the ultimatum, which is a very famous one, like, you should just leave me. I'm bad, or I'm this, I'm that, the other. I don't deserve you. And with that, it felt like, in hindsight, it was a trap to get you to go, like, no, you're not that bad. And then try to get us, like, it gets you on board to try and get you back on their side. And I didn't really like that.
Did you fall for it?
Oh, best believe, man. 5 years, I fell for it every single time until I didn't. I don't remember what the tipping point necessarily was. I remember it was a combination of moving out of mom and dad's place, and when I moved in with you, and then I was going to the gym pretty regular. Then I was finally got my confidence up, and then after a while, I was just like, you know what? I'm not happy with you, and this particular person at the time, whenever we'd have a breakup, she's just like, oh, I'm gonna, you're not allowed to say the big S word. I'm okay without you. I'm just gonna unalive myself. I'm like, oh, all right. And then naturally you feel empathy. You just try to talk them kind of literally and figuratively off the cliff. And in hindsight, that's not necessarily my job.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as a partner, yeah, but as an ultimatum of, like, if you don't stay with me, I'm gonna do XYZ to myself. It's also the same as, let's stay together or I'm gonna hurt you, or let's stay together or I'm gonna hurt myself. It just puts you in an awkward position where you care for the person, but at the same time you're still unhappy. And I fell for that for quite a few times. And the last time, she said that exact same thing, if I remember correctly. And at the end of it, I don't remember the particulars of what I said. I think it was something along the lines of, that's out of my control, and that's more or less what I left it at. As much as I'm talking, I'm not particularly verbose in those scenarios, but I did fall for it. But the hard part is recognizing when things are worth saving and when you're really just staying together out of comfort or fear, or a combination of both. And mine was a combination of both. I think it's safe to say that I was staying out of both. But yeah, both. Because I was comfortable in my relationship. I didn't really have to do anything outside of my the duties of being in a relationship, being affectionate, all that stuff. And out of fear, because I thought, if I don't have this person, then I won't have anybody else in my life. I was 17 at the time, probably. So that's not necessarily true. But to answer your question, yes, I've been in a toxic relationship.
I've been in toxic relationships, but of course my relationships only lasted about 3 months, and they usually tell me to choose between them and whoever, or between them and weightlifting, and of course I stayed single, so that's pretty much mine. But I've known friends to have toxic relationships a lot more than that.
I thought you were gonna say like my relationships usually tended to last about 3 or 4 hours. But I have been on the outside looking in on a lot of relationships. I'm outside looking in on one of my friends' relationships now, and it's also, I'll tell you afterwards. I don't really want to name names, but it was a friend in the exact same situation of where she called me on the phone. She was crying about the relationship she's in. She feel like she's not, I feel like the word is stagnant. Like this is an easy relationship. She's being taken care of, but she's just unhappy where she is, and there's no motivation to go any further.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I like in a partner is somebody who wants to grow or become, at least desire to be something more than they are currently. If I have friends who are okay being like at what level, what education level or financial level, I guess you could say, whatever they're at now, they're comfortable doing that for the rest of their lives. And frankly, I can't do that. I'm not okay settling. And this friend called me. She said, "I think I'm either settling or I feel like there's something wrong with me." And I had to talk her through that situation, but I feel like that's pretty common. Staying out of comfort, fear, or maybe a feeling of obligation. At least that's been my experience watching others go through it. How about you?
Yeah, I had like girls call me and talk to me about their toxic relationships, and it's just mainly because they're just like you were saying that sometimes it's just like they either it's out of fear of the person hurting themselves or stuff like that. All that nonsense.
Yeah. Nonsense is a good way to put that. Yeah.
So she backs off for a little bit, and we don't talk for, I don't know, a month. The next time we talk, she has a boyfriend. 2 months after they start dating, she moves in with this dude, like picks up her life, flies 4 states over, and moves in with this dude. 4 months after that, she gives me a call. Her and her boyfriend got into a fight, and he gave her a black eye. She says they got in an argument, he came at her, she ran, he started chasing her around the house, she ran to the bathroom, she slammed the door. As she was slamming the door, he kicked it into her face and gave her a black eye. Wow. So he didn't lay his hands on you. No, the door hit me. So I'm laying in my bed that night and I'm thinking to myself, humans don't have flat faces. To this day, I don't know if it was the door. If y'all know something that I don't know, please let me know in the comments, because from what I'm thinking, a door can't give you a black eye. If I'm wrong, please let me know. As a friend, I honestly don't know what to do here. I want to help, but I don't know how. So I just tell her, if you need anything at all, let me know. I will help you. 3 weeks later, she hits me up again. So his parents hate me, and we live in his parents' house. Wait, so you moved from your house into his parents' house with him? Yes. And they hate you? Why? I'm not the same race as him, so his parents hate me. And it gets awkward because he's off at work for the whole day, and I'm just stuck here with his parents, and I just can't leave the room because they don't like me.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment, and let us know if you know anybody that's been in a toxic relationship, and hopefully they're out of it, and they're not dealing with it no more, and they're in a better place than before. But let us know what you think of this toxic relationship by SWOOZIE. And now, let's continue with the video.
Have you ever seen anyone in a relationship that got abused by a flat door?
Flat door, you say? Working in physical therapy, you hear some of the oddest ways people have gotten hurt. But I have never, and let me tell you something, I'm looking you in your eyes. I have never seen that happen. Well, I've seen one black eye where I was just like, yeah, okay, that's one story I will believe. I've seen several others where I was like, okay, and I was typing in my report like, okay, need to make contact with the relevant authorities, and that was a couple things that happened. But no, I've never known anybody who's run into a door. I've run into a lot of things in my time, and I've never actually hit my eye. I've always maybe busted my forehead a little bit or hit my cheek. I've never gotten a black eye from a door.
I always got hit on the forehead or got scraped on the face. Listen in the comments if you ever been had a black eye from getting hit by the door.
Specifically the door, nothing else, just the door.
But have you ever been in an abusive relationship or known anyone to be in an abusive relationship?
Been in, I think we talked about previously about maybe emotionally manipulative, but nothing that I would say is outright abusive. Physically abusive, myself, no. But from the outside perspective, yeah, I'm friends with a lot of girls, and I have a bunch of guy friends. But a lot of the girls, I have a couple that I was just hearing stories like years delayed from the events actually happening, and I felt it's an odd sense of wanting to protect somebody that you care about, but it's so far removed that you don't really know what to do. And people who are abused, they're not necessarily obligated to tell you immediately. I mean, it's a good idea, but they might not feel comfortable sharing that. And my friends did feel comfortable sharing that after a while. One of them said it more as just like, yeah, this is something that happened to me, and she just wanted to get it off her chest. The other one said it in passing, and I just really felt bad for either situation. One was just blatant abuse. The other one was more long-term, emotionally manipulative, and she hinted that there was probably some physical stuff going on, but it was a lot of emotional abuse.
Yeah.
But physical, any abuse is abuse.
Yeah.
I might have to edit that part out, but but on the whole, I've been on the outside looking in on abusive relationships, and I have a hard time saying that I don't get it, just because, like, as a joke, I can say if somebody wants to hurt me, who I care about, then I'm just like, why do I have this person around still? But I understand that abusive relationships are not necessarily that simple. From the outside looking in, yeah, but this is somebody that you cared about, you trusted, and then, like, say you get hit one time, and then you're in the back of your mind, maybe you're like, I don't really want to throw all this away. Maybe they didn't mean that. Maybe
kind of like emotional attachment.
Yeah, I feel like it's attachment that makes you want to justify it.
Yeah.
Like, this person wouldn't really hurt me because I love them and care about them,
and they love me.
And they love me. He loves me really. Like, it's a joke now, but it's the he loves me deep down. That sentiment's a really hard one to break. And even, like I said, being outside looking in on my friends, it was a hard time at approaching them about it, because at the time they did not want to admit that they were in an abusive relationship, and they also, I felt they didn't want to do anything about it. That's one thing I don't quite understand, I guess. But people love people for different things, and people are okay accepting certain things. Personally, man, put hands on me, man, woman, I don't care. I don't really dig on that. It's like if you go to a party and then a bunch of random people start fighting, and I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I think I'd rather be elsewhere at the moment.
Yeah, that's how I used to always think about it too. Is why can't they just leave that person? But then I never thought of the emotional attachment, why someone would stay with someone. But sometimes I think, in my opinion, is they don't have that much confidence, or I don't know, maybe they don't see themselves as worthy of being with someone better.
That reminds me of one of those friends. She said that, what was it? I feel like I don't deserve anything better than this. And I think the word deserve is a big operative word when it comes to that. Just because it sounds like it comes from a place of low self-esteem, or like, I'm not a good person, therefore I don't deserve to be with a good person. Or I'm a bad person, so I should also be with a bad person. I feel like it's that, I guess, a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not a good person, therefore I will never be a good person. I don't know. Relationships are whack. That's all I really got to say about relationships. I say that as someone who's in one. Happily in one.
Yeah, I just think some people if they see themselves as better, they know they deserve better. But some people, I don't think deserve, or they don't think they deserve better. So that's just where they stay, and that's just where they are mentally.
Yeah, and it goes into that thing of comfort.
Yeah, it's just comfort.
Yeah, the devil you know.
To me, it's just them being lazy.
Like, you know what? I already got this. What was that song? I really like that song. If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
It's a little gray as to how much the window is. She hits me up again. He cheated on me. Get out. How did you find out? I had this gut feeling. I went through his phone. I saw that he was cheating on me. Word? Wow. Can I come live with you for a month? I'll find a place and then I'll be out of your hair in 30 days. I'll cook for you. I will clean for you. There will never be a dirty dish in the sink. I'll do all your laundry. I'll fold all your clothes. Make sure your belly's always full. And then I'll get out of your hair in 30 days. And that sounded amazing. And me thinking back on how clean she got after the first day we hung out, I don't see a scenario where she's out of there on day 31. So I tell her, yo, let me sleep on this and I'll get back to you. In my shoes, what do y'all do? And when people do nice things for me, I don't forget. So you remember how she drove an hour, bought a game for me that was sold out everywhere, and then drove back and then mailed it? I'm remembering this, okay? Now here's what I love about playing chess. Chess is all about decisions. Life is all about decisions. The better I got at chess, the better I got at making life decisions. So using my chess brain, I slept on it and I came up with a great idea. I hit her back and I said, yo, how about this? I'll buy you a plane ticket to LA. I won't let you stay here. You say you only need 30 days to get on your feet. I will pay for your first month rent anywhere you want to stay. The good thing about LA right now is every apartment gives you the first month free. So if I pay for your first month, you get it for free, and essentially your second month will be what I paid for, so you get 2 months free anywhere you want to stay in LA. How does that sound? She declines. She's not about it. They break up. She dumps him. They're living together, broken up, and I'm sure some of you guys have been in that situation, or you know somebody who's been in that situation. I can imagine it's not fun. That lasts for maybe 2 weeks, and then she calls me. So we got back together. I'm gonna give him another chance, but we started talking, and he asked me if he and I broke up and never got back together, what guy would I want to be in a relationship with? And I said, your name. And once I said you, he said I have to unfollow you and block you, and we can't talk anymore. Wow. She's an adult.
Have you ever bent over backwards to help someone that was in a toxic relationship?
Yes, quite in fact I have. So I've had a couple friends where the situation's almost exactly the same. I'm going to tell you one story and it probably accounts for most of them. So I had a friend who she was in a pretty bad relationship for about 2 years, and our main group of friends were all hanging out at our apartment. And then we went down to just before that, one of the friends had gotten a text from this particular girl, and she said, yeah, something along the lines of like, I don't feel safe, or can you guys come pick me up, something like that. I don't remember the details on that end of things. Then we end up heading over there, and I walked up in that apartment, and I came in there to get my friend out of that situation, and we did. And then we left, and we went back to the apartment. We had a good time, and I thought all was well. I had never liked this person being in that relationship, so we thought, you know what, let's just enjoy the rest of the night. So maybe this will help them see the light. This was not that time, but at the time I said, maybe this will help them see the light, that maybe they shouldn't be with this person. Maybe. No, it didn't go that way. So we hung out for a couple hours, and this particular friend was on her phone a decent bit of the night, enough to where I made note of it, but she wasn't like completely absorbed into her phone the whole time. She'd been messaging back and forth with her boyfriend, and I guess they made up. Even after being abused, they had made up. And I think at some point, she gets up and she says, oh yeah, he's right outside. And then she goes stands up, runs out the door, and then she still had her stuff there, and we thought, there's no way she's bringing him up here. There's no way. There's no way she's bringing him up here after all this. And then I was wrong. She
brought him up.
She brought him up into our apartment. And then he sat down and continued playing cards with us. I was like, so we're not just going to address what happened? All right. And having friends who work in law enforcement, anything involving domestic violence is... If I'm not a cop, I'm not going to intervene most of the time unless it's something life-threatening or great bodily harm. But generally speaking, if it's a situation like that where I'm just like, wait, didn't you just hit this motherfucker? But, in those situations, if you put yourself in between them, you end up being the bad guy. And I saw that coming a mile away, so I had to just swallow my thoughts. I think they hung out for 10 minutes, and then they were both gone, and then it was like it never happened. And I was like, well, that was kind of a waste of a couple hours. But so they went off and did their thing, and we had to have a house talk. Me and my roommate at the time, we had said, yeah, you can't just bring him up in here like with no warning or anything like that. But that was one of those situations, and I think that relationship lasted a couple more months, but that was not the tipping point, I guess you could say. It was just one of several bad things happening in that particular relationship. But she's doing better now, but at the time it was kind of a hard thing to see.
At least it's not like SWOOZIE's story where the girl ends up marrying the guy.
Yeah, that's she drank the Kool-Aid on that one. I think she went in too deep. Like, I never understood relationships that are just like, you know what's gonna fix this terrible relationship? Let's have a baby, or let's get married. Any of those, I never got those. I never understood it.
I will probably never understand that.
Even in a happy relationship, I've never been like, you know what, let's add a baby to this. I'm not ready for that, and I don't want to add that in just yet. At some point, but I never thought of that fixing a relationship. Like whenever I used to babysit our niece and nephew when they were like one newborn and then the other one's about 1, and I was just like, I would never want to add this into a relationship. Just I've grown past that, but at the time I was 13 or 14. Yeah, I was just like, man, people just have babies and then they just let them they just hang out like this. but having kids can be a good thing, but every time I've heard that story of like, we can fix this, we can have kids, I've always seen it end in divorce or something worse. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I've seen some physical abuse, unfortunately.
Okay, what have you learned from all your years of seeing those toxic relationships?
I think if I'm asked to pick my happiness over somebody else, then that's probably not a relationship I want to be in. If I find myself exerting a lot of effort into the relationship and it's not being reciprocated backwards, definitely don't want to be in that. If I'm investing into this person, I don't necessarily want to say financially because I don't want to seem like a pimp or a sponsor. But
or a John.
Yeah. But if I'm investing whatever X amount of time into this relationship, and then the person, I can appreciate it. Like if it's a situation where, say, it's a stay-at-home mom and like, you're kind of taking care of all the bills, and that's fine. If that's a route that I wanted to go, I probably thought about it ahead of time, and that's something I'm going to be okay with. But the person not reciprocating, at least, I don't know necessarily another word. I don't want to say gratitude because that sounds like I'm expecting something. But I guess gratitude will be a good filler word because I can't think of anything else. But I guess gratitude for good treatment, I guess. I guess we can edit that part out. I don't know where I was necessarily going with that one.
Oh, well, let's keep it in.
Yeah, that's right.
But from what I learned is you have to know your worth. You can't let people treat you like crap, and you can't always just help everybody, because sometimes you don't help anybody if you're just enabling their crappy relationship.
If you end up trying to help everybody, you end up helping nobody.
That's what I usually say in my videos. But so keep on doing good. Hope you guys are all in happy relationships if you're in a relationship. Even if you're not, don't be looking for something that won't work out.
If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
Okay. Everyone.
I've been in a toxic relationship once or thrice, so I get it. But there's a line. If you're in a toxic relationship, it's actually not the kiss of death. It can be fixed. The only problem is toxic people don't feel like they're the problem. So until they want to fix the problem, no problems are going to get fixed. And when I was in those situations, I don't know, I had this feeling that I couldn't leave, which is weird. If you're one of those people who aren't happy if they're single, you're not going to be happy in a relationship. Get happy first, then get in a relationship. Relationships should add to your happiness, okay? Not be the reason for your happiness. Otherwise, if you're in a toxic relationship, communicate to your guy or girl, hey, these things are problems. Let's work on them. Once you communicate that to them and they still don't do anything about it, deuces. Snip, snip, done. Know your value.
Check out SWOOZIE's channel. And you can find this on SWOOZIE's video list. And I'll have that in the description. And tell SWOOZIE that the Frugal Cyborg sent you. Everybody, stay awesome.